Well, the saying goes, to every action, there is a reaction. And inasmuch as every human has a willpower of choice to decide, to every choice, there is a consequence. Well, after the Secretary General of Mkondo Esizwe, the former Secretary General, visited Malawi, and Prophet Bushiri in particular, when he came back, he did an interview that was on SABC, where he was asked, and he did highlight that the president of the party was aware of his whereabouts and that it was on an expedition as commissioned by the party. And he sounded very unapologetic. Well, days later, he came out and apologized and highlighted that the party was not aware and that the decision to do so was against the constitution of Mkondo Esizwe as a party. Well, as though that was not enough, there were speculations that he's been deployed to parliament, but no official documentation has been released to indicate that he's been deployed to parliament. Nor has there been any suspension letter or disciplinary that was formally given that has been made known to the public. In developing news, on June 16, the party had a rally and the launch of the youth wing of the party, where the Secretary General was nowhere to be seen. And speculations have been going on of this political fallout, and many has been speculating the demise of the political career of the Secretary General in the name of Floyd Shivambu. Well, let us watch this news, and I would love to hear your thoughts and take on this.
Watching news at Prime, let's bring you this now. Former MK Party Secretary General Floyd Shivambu's political future appears limited after a scathing Youth Day address by party leader Jacob Zuma. The pair started off their relationship on a high note, with the former EFF deputy president describing his floor crossing as the most solid and sound decision ever. Let's discuss these developments now with political analyst Sandile Swana, who joins us via the virtual platform tonight. Mr. Swana, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. Before we kick off our conversation, let's have a listen to the party leader of the MK, Jacob Zuma.
This is not the organization to make money. It's an organization to liberate South Africa. This one. That is why, if you look seriously, you'll realize that if we have one of us, ophumeceleni asimncengi. Let me just tell you, abantu sebeke baba o Secretary General kule sebe u7 manje. Ngoba sidlali. Noma ngabe uzazi ukuthi umkhulu uyathandwa, uyikho konke, we don't care. We talk about our party.
Mr. Swana, the president of the MK party does not mention Floyd Shivambu by name, but is there any doubt who he was referring to there?
No, there is no doubt. I mean, fortunately, in these political parties, there's one Secretary General. And we know that the MK party has really been changing them quite frequently, given that it has not yet made it has finished 7 years, but Jacob Zuma says that they've already expelled 7 or changed 7 of them. So because they went astray, to use Jacob Zuma's term. So there is no doubt that Floyd Shivambu is actually the person in question here.
He is headed to Parliament, at least that's what the party told us at the announcement, the recent announcement. Does he still have a solid future within the MK party ranks, or is this the possible end of Floyd Shivambu within this political home?
Yeah, I think that in the short term, in the build-up to the 2026 election and maybe even the 2029 election, he may not be able to play a prominent role. There are people who've gone into political exiles of one kind or the other. Cyril Ramaphosa himself went into such a political exile. So if the party will be still alive at the time that he wants to make a comeback, yes, we cannot write him off. But there is definitely, he is in the early stages of a political exile or political silencing or freezing of some sort now.
I listened earlier to Dr. Ongama Mtimga, who appears to suggest that sometimes these political figures appear to not have the wherewithal in terms of perhaps disappearing for a moment and allowing themselves the time to think things through before they make the next move. Does Floyd Shivambu strike you as a person who has the political sus to sit and say, if indeed my future is no longer what I thought it was in the MK party, I'm going to sit this one out, have a look at the political landscape, and make a decision in the near future? Or is he the type that wants to show his opponents that you think I was down, but not quite?
I think that Floyd doesn't have those options of showing anybody anything, really, showing any power. He doesn't have that power. The only thing that I was thinking about is a situation whether there is a storage facility where he could go and sort of hide there and work quietly for 5-6 years and then try to launch a comeback at another time within the ambit of MK party. The choice of him leaving the ANC to the EFF, probably at the time he would have said it was a solid revolutionary decision. And then he made an even more solid revolutionary decision by leaving EFF to the MK party. And now he's in the doldrums. Now he's sinking at this point in time. And I do not think that he's going to recover before 2029. And bear in mind that the people who were promised things, whether they would have taken the form of a Nhlanhla who was promised a job at the BRICS Bank by Zuma, till today he's still waiting for that job. It has not come. And there are no serious efforts that we see to get Floyd to Parliament. Instead, he was served, if I read it correctly, it appears he was served with disciplinary papers instead of being given a letter that says we are now going to Parliament. So to me, Floyd is in the freezer relative to the elections, 2026 and 2029. He's in the freezer. For him now to try and look whether he's going to go and join the ACDP or the ANC or the Action SA or any of those things, I don't think that's prudent. That is a game that he has not played well.
What about starting a new political party? And add to that question, how do you think the EFF is reading his particular situation? Because the party leader there was very cut up about this move.
I think with hindsight, many of us will say that Floyd made a mistake. And that mistake could have been informed by his own lack of proper discipline of being able to cope with the discipline of the EFF party at the time, and so on and so forth. So, and Julius Malema even said that he would make a concession. At some point, he did make that. He would make a special concession for Floyd to come back to the party, to the EFF party.
Yeah.
That proposal might be easily overruled now because people have seen that they can work without Floyd, etc., etc., etc. So he is actually, for the time being, is in the wilderness, political wilderness. Now the issue is that probably the people of the EFF would have seen the whole Floyd saga, the Limpopo saga, the whole move as an attempt to collapse EFF, and this move as a further confirmation that indeed they had no use, long-term use for Floyd, as long as they could get him out of the EFF with a view of weakening the EFF and destroying that. And I mean, my own observation is that it is tragic that the three of them, that was Cindy Somakaka, Floyd Shivambu, and Julius Malema, it appears to me that it's only Julius Malema who's remained standing. The ANC, in one capacity or another, has been able to really deal a blow on these two. I think the Floyd is, for the time being, at best, is in the freezer.
Let's look at the MK party itself and whether it's able to shake off this tribalist undertone. And I'm raising that because at the launch of its youth wing this weekend, a particular moment occurred where part of the leadership core, should I say a member of the leadership core of the youth wing, was sort of, he wasn't booed, she wasn't booed, I should say, but she sort of almost was drowned out by the crowds who may not have had the patience to listen to her because she spoke a language that they may not have understood. A leader of the youth wing had to stand up and say, and call the supporters to order. But he says, Comrade Nkateko uyishangane, but it doesn't mean that this party is tribalist. We may not understand isiZulu that we are speaking. Some person elsewhere may not understand isiZulu. And so you have to be patient and be accepting of all people in this party. Do you think that this party is capable of shaking off this particular tag? By the way, the person who called it at the very first time was Gwede Mantashe, the chair of the ANC, that this party is a tribalist party.
Yeah. So the first thing I will say there is that, unfortunately, you know, the ANC called itself a leader of society. And one of the things that they needed to lead us away from is racism, tribalism, and those types of things. At this moment in time, tribalism in politics is gaining the upper hand. A number of these parties, either they are seen as white parties, others are seen as white Afrikaner parties, others are seen as so-called colored parties. And then the MK Inkatha, for instance, has not been able to shake the Zulu identity and Zulu culture. And MK and Zuma himself, unfortunately, has built a very strong brand, a Zulu-aligned type of brand. And there's nothing necessarily troubling about that. What is troubling is that people in South Africa can go to a rally and expect a person who doesn't come from their background, who is fully South African, to speak their language, knowing that that person doesn't know that language. It's a problem. It's a problem to the extent, and it becomes even worse when people call each other Shangan, because sometimes when people say Shangan, it is not always a compliment in itself. So it becomes a very big problem. But the long and short of it is that Gwede Mantashe might be saying, I told you so.
Interesting indeed. Sandile Swana, thank you very much indeed for your analysis tonight, political analyst, taking us through what he makes of the situation as it pertains to Floyd Shivambu's future within the MK party, but the party itself. Is it capable of shaking off the tribalist undertone?
Well, I believe today, in the next few hours, Floyd Shivambu will be giving a pressed statement. He'll be addressing the press in the next few hours. And we are yet to hear if he's resigning, stepping away, or what is the fate of his membership to the party. However, I think and I hope that he was prepared and was aware of what he was doing. And I hope that the visit to Malawi was worth it. In as much as there's not been any word released from the prophet, in quote, from Malawi. But we have seen the fruit of that visit, and that was the dismissal of the former Secretary General. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to hear from you, your take, your views, and your school of thought on this. If you haven't subscribed, kindly do so. Thank you.